What's up, Brian?
What's up?
Welcome to another episode of Conversations with DJ. I think it's episode number 19. Thank you so much for coming.
Awesome.
And
Thanks for having me.
please introduce yourself.
Ryan Eveloff. Really appreciate you having me here. Just with my background in tennis or pickleball, how I got going.
Let's hear that.
Played junior tennis, national tournaments, all sorts of that. Went to the academies in Florida, California. Tennis was basically all my life as a junior.
Do you go to the Nick Military one by any chance?
I went to the Everett Academy in Boca Raton.
Okay.
And then also went to the Weil Academy up in Ojai. And that consumed, I'd say, all of my junior life. And then eventually I went to play at Arizona State University in college. And then after that, went to play in some Futures Challenger Tour, hampered by a lot of injuries. And then the career actually ended with a wrist injury.
Oh, wow.
Broke my wrist.
Dude, don't tell me that.
Yeah, I know. I shouldn't tell you that right now.
I just got a pure shot of my wrist. Don't tell me that.
No, it was bad. I had like 10 broken bones in my wrist.
Sorry to hear that.
So at that point, it was kind of a realization of if I can have wrist flexion to play with a Roger Federer, then I think it's time to go back to school or figure out what I'm going to do with my life. And obviously, that's something that's kind of hard. Tennis was my identity my whole life.
For sure.
So that took a little time. We had a family business in men's clothing that I was looking to get into, but then I was exploring some other options like real estate, mortgages, and I was going to go to law school. So kind of bounced around a bit there.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, my life was kind of shattered at the age of 33 when I lost my father in my arms, and kind of turned everything upside down. And at that point, I went into basically a pretty bad downward spiral. And let's see, about 38, just realized this isn't what he would want to see for me. So I decided to try to make a change, and starting off with just clearing my body of any substances. And long story short, drove some Uber, taught some tennis. COVID came, was going to do some real estate. And during COVID, a lot of people started reaching out. Do you still teach tennis? I'm like, well, I can.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, this leads into how I found pickleball, was the 2 courts I was teaching at had 4 pickleball courts next to it. And I'm like, what is this sport over there? There's tons of people. And needed something for the father of my student to do.
Yeah.
So I told him to go get a pickleball paddle and go do that during the lessons.
Nice.
So he wouldn't interfere and tell her to move her feet. And I ordered a head paddle from Amazon, I think, and told the little girl we'll go hit a wiffle ball around after practice.
Very cool.
And the rest is kind of history.
Yeah, dude, I love that. Well, I mean, first and foremost, I'm really sorry about your loss. That's not easy. I lost my grandma recently too, and that was hard. I recently actually got really sick to the point where I lost like 25 plus pounds, and I was like laying on the couch thinking like I'm not gonna see my daughter like grow up. Like it was that bad. So like all the anxiety and all that stuff that comes with it is like really terrible. And I mean, mental health is definitely a huge thing in life, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're doing better. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
But yeah, dude, let's fast forward a little bit to how you healed up from the wrist injury, how you actually starting to play pickleball, and where your humble beginnings are.
Okay. So as I was saying, the pickleball was the last thing I ever thought I'd be doing. I thought I was past the age of competition or having fun, right? I thought I was just going to have to make money and pay bills, and that was life. And little did I know that a few guys at the park where I had messed around were like, hey, would you play a tournament? And again, I was like, that's kind of the last thing on my mind right now.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, we'll pay for your tournament entry. And I played
nice.
it. Yeah, very nice. So I played the tournament. We won a few tournaments. It was starting to have fun. I was like, oh, this is kind of enjoyable. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try to play a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, that's kind of like, that's how you really get hooked into pickleball itself, because there's so many just cool, nice, like genuine people
Unreal.
surround it, right? Like when I started playing, it was back in 2018, and I was basically one of the younger players that, to ever kind of come into the sport.
Yeah.
Now you have like 1,000 a day basically,
Yeah.
but back then you didn't. So I started playing at Bobby Riggs, and everybody was like super nice to me, super happy that a young guy from a tennis background was coming and, kind of playing pickleball with them. And they were like all trying to like coach a little bit and give tips and be super helpful and play with you. And I personally, like, there was no carbon fiber back then. So I was losing a lot of the matches because all you had to do was like scoop and short hop and kind of come in. And I was like, I can't beat Bob. Bob's 16. I can't beat Bob, Nowadays with the carbon fiber and Kevlar and all these things, like, you're able to put all this spin and power in the ball, which you couldn't, do before.
Correct.
And back then we used to play with the Onyx Fuse 2, so you couldn't even put any spin on that.
Okay.
I was just listening to Bob and Rachel and Susan all the time, but, I kind of learned how to play pickleball properly. But just like all the like genuine love that comes with it, and they want to help. And I had people even from the beginning, like, oh, like, we'll pay for this entry fee for this tournament, no problem. Or I had people be like, hey, play this 5-0 with me, I'll pay for it, and you can keep the prize money. And it might have been like $500, right? But if I'm 18 and I'm playing pickleball, it's paid for, and I get $500. I mean, that's a pretty good
gig
deal to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I totally get it, and that's kind of how you get hooked, just because there's just so many awesome people out there. But yeah, so how long have you been trying, or kind of doing the pro thing now?
The pro thing, I'd say about a year and a half, 2 years. I was kind of dabbling in it. I was working and still teaching a lot of tennis, so I was not really training in pickleball too much.
Yeah.
And then after last year in Seattle, I decided, to give it a little more, put a little more into myself with as far as training and, the gym and my fitness, and seeing if I can compete at this level with the top players.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, probably the biggest hook of all the pickleball has been all the people I've met through this in the community. Has kept me closer to this than anything.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree.
So, yeah, so I'd say about 2 years I've been trying to do the pro thing.
How's that been treating you?
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It costs a lot of money to give this a go. You're traveling around again. I thought I was past the years of traveling. I thought that was over with tennis. But again, it's been super fun, right? I've got all these new friendships and met all these new people that I enjoy being around. So it's been very pleasant.
Yeah.
And obviously I love to compete. So I think that kind of reignited a fire within me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So who are some of the people that you're kind of like the closest with? I know I just played Sacramento in center court, and you were hanging out with Blaine quite a bit, cheering against me, unfortunately.
So sorry about that.
No, it's
I was
all
asked
good.
to be the coach there.
Yeah, no, it's all good. And but obviously Blaine is one of the good friends. We've hung out a couple of times at dinner here and there. But who are some of the people that you hang out with on tour?
Gosh, such a wide array of people, from Ernesto Russo to Naveen Beasley to Blaine, Roscoe Bellamy, all the Arizona guys like Daniel Jensen, Craig Johnson, Pesa, Caden, Augie, all really good friends of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, they're all awesome people. I've gotten kind of like the pleasure to be hanging out and share some Airbnbs with like Craig and Augie and Caden. Caden's so funny, dude.
He's great.
Caden's the man. Pesa, I love Pesa. He's a little more quiet on the quieter side, but he's just an awesome dude. And obviously all very good pickleballers. What are some of your training regimen looks like right now? Like, what are some of the things you're like, okay, I need to do this or do that? Like, how's your diet?
My diet has definitely changed dramatically. Trying to eat a lot of fish, chicken, vegetables, all the proper stuff that I think a pro athlete, right, should be eating.
It takes.
No fast food. No junk food really anymore.
Not even In-N-Out?
I would go for In-N-Out.
Yeah.
That's
like a little
one
bit
exception.
healthier. Yeah, I gotcha.
I don't know if it's healthier, but that's my one exception.
Healthier than McDonald's.
Healthier than McDonald's, correct. And then outside of that, I've put a lot of time. I probably spend 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours in the gym and doing like footwork drills per day. And I think especially at 43 years old, I think for me being in the best physical shape is as important as anything to try to compete at this level.
Yeah, for sure. I would say even like if you're young, right? Like, I mean, if you're able, like in tennis, right? Everyone says like the best players are the best movers.
Correct.
And so, it kind of applies to, I think, any sport, in my opinion. So I think pickleball kind of goes that same way where you might have extremely quick hands or, super fast muscle twitch, maybe you have really good drops, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, like the best movers are the ones that do the best, and Ben kind of keeps showing that, day
100%.
in and day out. So.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely the most efficient mover I've seen.
Yeah, for sure.
On the court. So yeah, a lot of time off the court, trying to make my body as good as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, a lot of drilling on all the intricacies of pickleball, right?
Yeah.
That don't come over from tennis.
For sure.
Obviously, driving a ball is pretty natural, but it's all the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Learning the kitchen game, the transition game, different strategies, especially, doubles.
Yeah. What does your drilling look like?
As far as,
Just on the pickleball court.
sometimes I've got someone feeding me balls. Other times just working on a lot of kitchen transition area. Really just trying to become a master in all these different areas.
Yeah.
So as many repetitions as I can get.
Yeah.
So that when I can't think straight, I can just do the right thing. So really just trying to drill all those things in as much as I can.
Yeah. And you mentioned you do like footwork drills and stuff like that, right? So when you do those, are you focusing mostly on speed? Are you focusing on maybe a certain agility? Are you on a certain movement? Because from what I understand, I mean, cardio is one thing,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
But from most of like the trainers I talked to in the past, and we do like, we do a little bit of everything, but obviously in pickleball, jumping is a huge thing because you can't, step in, step out, right? You have to earn. Jumping is a big thing. So kind of doing plyos is huge.
Yes.
On the other hand, what I was told is when you do like agility drills or ladders for that matter, a lot of that's to just kind of get your brain going and functioning a certain way.
Okay.
So you're able to move better, but it doesn't necessarily. And I'm not a trainer, so I don't know. But it apparently doesn't necessarily make you like quicker or faster or any of these things. It is used mostly as a warm up. So what are your thoughts on that?
Interesting. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's making me quicker or not, right? But I'm trying to, I think to your point, is do a lot of the stuff, there's so many explosive movements in pickleball. So trying to replicate, right, what's going to go on the court.
For sure.
Because there's a lot of fast twitch movements that I think, especially as you get older, aren't easier. Right? I watch someone like Hayden who bounces around the court like Spider-Man.
Yeah, for sure. And that's all natural too. I don't think it works out very much.
No, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But to your point, I think part of it probably is training the brain to keep moving, because I think movement's so key out in the pickleball court.
Movement's key in life.
Yeah,
it keeps
100%.
you young.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I mean, I am trying to your point, like plyometrics, a lot of the explosive stuff that maybe I feel like I've lost over a few years.
Yeah.
Just trying to see what I can get those to at this point in my life.
Yeah, I gotcha. Are you a bigger fan of doing like simple drills that are really hard, or are you more of a fancy drill? Like when it comes to like footwork, for example, or speed, right? Like for me, when I'm like, okay, I need to work on moving side to side because it mimics dinking in mixed doubles.
Okay.
Like I'm in California, so I go to the beach and I used to like side shuffles and I'm dead and I do them on the sand.
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't take very long for me to just get gassed.
Yeah.
So are you more of a like simple thing, make it hard to get it done? Or are you like, let's do this here and then this here and then like, do the circus sort of thing? Like, how do you go about that?
No, a little bit more like you, right? I'm trying to mimic what I think's going to happen during a match.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe it is, side shuffles, but I've got my paddle in my hand.
Right.
And maybe I'm mimicking dinks as I'm moving. Right.
Like get low, touch the cone.
Yeah.
Something
so
like
I'm
that.
trying to do a lot of stuff that's not just straight physical activity as much as it is something to actually help my pickleball game.
I gotcha.
And to help me on the pickleball court.
And what are your thoughts on knees over toes workouts for pickleball?
I haven't done them myself, but I've heard people speak wonders of it.
Yeah.
What do you know of it?
So I actually didn't even think of this up until I talked to Augie. So Augie and I are good friends now. We're going to play some tournaments together. But he came on the podcast and he was just, basically going off about how amazing knees over toes is. And I actually, like, I didn't know, right? Because when I go lift, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to put a bunch of weight on this barbell. And I'm going to squat as much as I possibly can, as often as I can. And, I ended up realizing that that's not the most, you have to like try and fail, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what translates the best to the pickleball game, right? So mobility, I think, is what transfers the best to the pickleball game itself. So he was talking about it, and I went and tried it. And then just kind of loosening up my ankle mobility, allowing myself to lean further into the kitchen. Because right now it's more of a slight bend, like really long arms.
Yeah.
But imagine if I could bend even more because my ankles are not locked up anymore. Knees over toes, you're leaning in. First of all, you're more balanced.
Yeah.
Secondly, you can reach in deeper into the kitchen, take more balls out of the air. And so I actually think it makes a lot of sense. I haven't been doing it a lot. I can bring up like 10 excuses as to why, but realistically, I just haven't done it. That said, I think I'm a huge fan, and it's one of the things that I'm going to be working on very soon, as well as just like overall mobility, because I think pure strength when it comes to pickleball, it kind of goes out the window.
100%.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Maybe that's something I need to talk to Augie about then. Is knees over toes. I'm up for anything that can help me be better on the pickleball court.
Yeah. You had this, I think it was last year in Seattle, you had a huge win against J-Dub, didn't you?
Yeah.
How did that go?
The whole tournament was pretty huge. I got in as a lucky loser, so I lost last round of qualies, and then was fortunate enough to someone pulled out. So I got the lucky loser, and at that point, I think I was playing with house money. And I played AJ Kohler first, and then Pablo Tellez second round, or round of 16, and then JW in the quarters.
That's amazing.
And, I think there were a lot of distractions that helped me that day as far as my paddle was being challenged every match.
Yeah.
So it almost didn't give me time to think about winning, losing, where I was at.
For sure.
I was just like, every time they're like, okay, he can play.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's time to ball.
Yeah, for sure.
And, probably, obviously, the best tournament I've had in my career.
Semifinals in the singles PPA is like pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't realize at the time, but looking back, it was pretty good.
Yeah, 'cause now it's even harder to do it, right? And it's only been like 6 months or something.
So hard.
Yeah. So what do you think it takes, or in your case, right, you got to that semifinals and then it's, gets a little rocky, whatever. Like Jaume, for example, like he's unbelievable, right? But he's had he would make a final and then he'd lose in the first round to AJ. That happened last year too. So, for you personally, what does it take? What's the feeling like when you're, actually playing at your, let's say highest level? How are you able to mimic that if you can? What are your thoughts on that?
I think letting, the outside distractions or pressures, whether it be financial, strain or whatnot of doing all this, not putting all that pressure on yourself. And again, just letting yourself play, right, and enjoying it at the same time. Because I've, to your point, I've had enough tournaments where I haven't enjoyed myself and the results haven't followed. Right, I'm worried too much about a ranking or getting sponsored or getting signed by the PPA.
All the side questing.
All the side, all the side stuff, and it doesn't help my performance one bit. And whether it's, subconscious or not, I don't think I'm trying to think about those things.
Right.
But I'm sure there's somewhere in the back of my head which affects my play.
For sure. So you think there's definitely a subconscious out there that's kind of, whether it's you, me, or somebody else that kind of keeps you distracted from doing the business itself, right? Which is the playing. So what do you think is the best way to navigate that in your opinion?
That I'm still trying to figure out.
I think all of us are.
I think that I'm really trying to figure out.
A lot of people talk about keeping your mind blank, but it's how?
No, right? You're right. And going back to Seattle, that's where I was. My mind was blank. I didn't care about who I was playing. I didn't care what round I was in. I didn't care about the points I was getting. None of it mattered.
Yeah.
Right? I was just playing, and I was trying to beat whoever was on the other side of the court.
Right.
And I think having a blank mind like that, right, allowed me to, perform the way I did. And if I could somehow hypnotize myself
Yeah.
to always show up to a tournament and play like that.
Yeah.
That would be very ideal.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Right? You stare at a blank paper the
So-
entire time, see what happens.
So maybe it's hire a hypnotist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then all the financial stuff comes in through
But
too.
then, yeah. So maybe I need a sponsor
There you
that
go.
can help me get a hypnotist, get on the road, and keep my head blank.
Come on, guys. Somebody sponsor my homie right here. Semi-finalist, PPA singles. No, dude, it's funny. So I actually have somewhat of a question because obviously Federico, right? So he's playing like unbelievable singles.
Crazy.
Well, in doubles too, because he just
Yeah.
won PPA Sacramento. Shout out to my boy Fede. But it seems like, and I'm saying this because you lost him in the semifinals,
Yeah.
I remember. But I'm saying this because I see it all the time where, somebody's having a really good tournament and semifinals is unbelievable. And then, they could play anybody but Federico, right? And then Federico just like runs through these people.
Yeah.
Right? I think even now, when if you're keeping up with the scores, there's a lot of people that are winning a lot of matches, but it's like 11 into the third.
Yes.
Like 11, 7, 11, 9, right? And it's very close. And you watch Federico do it, and it's like 2 and 4, 3
Cruising.
and 5,
Yeah.
2 and 2. Semifinals, like 6 and 6. You're like, what the fuck is going on? So like for you, right? You beat AJ, you beat Pablo, you beat J-Dub, which are all unbelievable players. And then you go play Federico. What does that feel like?
Gosh, I tried to step out there with the same mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just so dialed in on the singles game and at this point the doubles game and mixed
Yeah.
doubles game as well, that you just have to be so perfect, especially in singles, to give yourself a chance against him.
Mm-hmm.
I know in game 2 I was up 7-2, and I think I got a little winded just from the entire day.
Yeah.
But against someone like that, he's going to, I don't think I won another point after 7-2.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Federico so good, right? Is just kind of taking that moment. He didn't get too worked up being down 2-7.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of mental, physical, strategy training that he's put into this to make him as good as he is.
Yeah.
He's an incredible player.
Yeah, he is. I mean, the biggest thing, because I've known Federico for a while now, because we were playing APPs back then and stuff. And the one thing that he's like incredibly worked on is his fitness, because even last year, I think he was playing Tyson in Dallas or something, and he was just cramping like the entire time, cramping. He needed timeouts, needed medical timeouts, needed everything, and now he's just cruising through people, just destroying everybody. I haven't seen him even like cramp again, right?
No.
So that's something that he's doing off court that's being, obviously worked on.
Yeah.
I wonder also like how much he's dieting and stuff like that, because that also makes a huge difference, right?
Huge.
You can stay hydrated and stuff, but dieting itself, I mean, whatever you put in is what's going to come out, right?
Fuel.
So I wonder how much he is actually dieting. And also, actually, my question to you now that I mentioned that, like, do you find it difficult to eat healthy and stuff on the road? Because I think it's extremely hard.
Way trickier
Yeah.
than when I'm at home, right? I can kind of meal prep at home. I can have salmon. I can have chicken. It's much harder to get when you're on the road. You're out with friends.
Yeah.
You're grabbing these meals after a long day when there's only one restaurant open, right?
Yeah.
That happened just a couple days ago. We finished really late in the evening, went to a couple restaurants to try to get dinner. Our kitchen's closed.
Then you got to go to Waffle House.
So then basically you have to end up at Waffle House,
Yeah.
right? And you just eat what's on the menu.
Yeah.
To your point, very tricky on the road. But so is the working out, right? On the road, right? I don't have a gym with me.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things, right, that on the road become a little trickier.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think you just have to try to be cognizant, and to your point of, what fuel you're putting in your body is going to come out, right?
Yeah.
So, just try to make wise decisions, and I guess trial and error as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's so difficult because, I mean, we take, like, a lot of the times for us, right, like me included, like, I'm taking not the best flight, but like the cheaper flight, right? So
Yeah.
I might be getting in on a Thursday at 8 p.m. and I'm supposed to play at 10 a.m. on Friday. And, there's like financial things that come with it because it's not cheap, right? Like I have a daughter now, and there's obviously I want to be the best player I can be. That said, I also have to like think for everybody else because it's
Correct.
not just me anymore,
Correct.
So yeah, then it's tough. And then, when you think of the gyms, like, yeah, you could get a really expensive membership somewhere that has like gyms everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, if you don't go to an Airbnb, you can't cook. So then if you're at a hotel, you have to DoorDash or you have to go out.
Correct.
But then you have the gym. But also, like, if you get the gym stuff, but you go to an Airbnb, it's probably going to be more expensive. Then you have to do groceries. Like, it all starts adding up.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
I remember, I don't know if you were around when it happened, but when Riley Newman and Lindsay Newman started playing,
Okay.
like, they literally, and I mean, I'm not putting words in their mouth or anything, but supposedly, like, all the A was like dollar menu stuff. Like, go to McDonald's, like, grab a couple like
Really?
$1 cheeseburgers, and then go play the tournament and pocket everything they could.
Okay.
Like, which is
That's
crazy.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's brilliant. But like, for me, like I know that if I eat that, I just can't play.
I'm not going to move very well.
Yeah, I
after
just
eating
can't do it.
McDonald's.
And like, dude, like, mental fogginess is real for me.
Totally.
Yeah, especially if I eat like that. So like, good for them, and obviously they're both doing really well now. Big shout out to them. But yeah, I mean, especially now with how everyone's playing and eating and bringing their coaches, and people have like chefs and shit. Like, you can't just go to a dollar menu and like eat some burgers anymore.
Well, I think to your point, wouldn't you say that those times have kind of changed in the pickleball landscape?
Oh, they
over
for
the
sure
last
have.
2 years.
Yeah, they for sure have.
To a lot of guys I think came out prior with just talent and maybe some practice, but not all the like gym and diet and stuff, right? And
Yeah,
they're
for
doing
sure.
just well. But I think nowadays, I think everyone's starting to treat it like a real, professional sport.
Yeah, it is, which is great.
Yeah, and training like a pro athlete.
Yeah, I will say though, whether it was then or now, if I eat a Big Mac, I still can't move.
No way.
Yeah, so
No
it's I just think it's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
What does the I know we just had PPS San Clemente.
Yeah.
That didn't go extremely well. If you want to talk about it.
No, didn't go well. I definitely had fun in doubles. I played doubles with Kwang Dong's little brother,
Bao.
13-year-old little stud.
Yeah.
Right, that's gonna be incredible. But yeah, singles didn't go well. But that happens. It's pickleball, and yeah, you just gotta move on.
Yeah. What does the future for you look like when it comes to pickleball?
Kind of undecided at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't have any tournaments planned beyond San Clemente. So I kind of got to see what I can find as far as hopefully finding a sponsor or someone that could help. Because I'd like to keep this going, but I'm also realistic. And at this point in my life, maybe there's a different direction I go.
Yeah.
But that being said, I want to stay in the pickleball community.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm not playing tournaments, hopefully I can get in, working in some capacity within this community so I can stay around it.
Would you like to be doing some coaching? Would you like to do some like managing a player? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, what do you see yourself doing?
All the above.
All the above.
What you just said. I think it would be fun to manage a player, as far as like an agent. I think coaching, obviously I have a rich coaching background from tennis. That I could definitely translate over to pickleball.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's quite there yet as far as the money, right? I don't know if the prize money's there to where coaching people can have full-time coaches yet.
Right.
But when that opportunity does arise, it's something I'd be very interested in.
What about coaching some form of like MLP team?
I would love
That'd
to
be so
coach,
fun.
be a GM or a
Yeah.
coach for an MLP team. If anyone's listening,
Teams, come on.
call me up.
Come on.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
That's one. Yeah, I mean, you saw my eyes light up when you
Yeah.
said that. So that's
I
probably
think all
one
of
of
us would, honestly.
Yeah.
Even the players are like, dude, that'd be sick.
It would be so fun.
Yeah.
And I think, to your point, bringing up MLP, the one thing when I got into pickleball, tennis is such an individualized sport that I loved. I loved doubles in pickleball, the camaraderie. And then when I saw the team format, that was kind of my only goal, was to play MLP.
Yeah.
I was like, that just looks so cool.
Yeah.
The team, you're not playing just for yourself, you're playing for others. Very exciting.
Yeah.
So being a part of that in any capacity would be awesome for me.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you said you played D1 tennis,
Yeah.
right? So then you kind of get that feeling back of being a boy and just kind of playing
Totally.
some tennis, hanging out, like, I don't know, there's just something about it, right? Because I personally didn't play college tennis. I kind of skipped on that to play some pickleball.
Yeah.
And, quote unquote work.
Yeah.
But that said, I mean, every time I'm on an MLP team, I'm stoked. I'm like, it doesn't
Right.
matter who it is.
No.
Like, I might not even be extremely close with the people in the team, but I'm like, fuck it, like we're in this together.
So fun, right?
So I'm looking forward to it.
How's it been, like, your experience? Is it everything that I think it is, as far as
As far as playing pro pickleball or
No,
MLP?
like the MLP, like the
MLP?
team and the excitement.
It probably is everything you think it is, but there's always like two sides of the coin.
Of course.
Right? Like there's always a little bit of both. Because as in my opinion, okay, as good as like the pickleball community is, there's also bad, right?
course.
Like it is what it is,
Yeah.
right? And so there's always like something going on where you could be in a team and somebody's saying this about you, and then they think you're saying this about them, and you're like, well, I didn't really say anything, and there's always like something going on. So, yeah, there's always drama going on to some extent, and so I personally don't love that. I'm more of a person where like I don't mind hearing it. Like if you want to just tell me a cool story about somebody, like I'll hear it. That said, I don't really want to be involved.
Correct.
I'm just not that type of person. I don't care that much about it. So there's always kind of like those nuances of like, this person said this, the she said that, like whatever, and hearsay it, right?
Gotcha.
But outside of that, when it comes to like playing, you're on the court, you're cheering, you're focused, you're playing, you're looking over at your team, your coach, GM, players, like all that is extremely special.
Yeah.
But you probably felt that in D1 tennis too, right?
Yeah.
So,
but that was a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
A couple decades ago, actually.
So we got to get you in the MLP team
I would
now.
love to.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully, I mean, if MLP or when MLP keeps getting bigger and bigger, more teams, more opportunities, more roles in the team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be fun to just obviously it takes a lot of money, but just to have like a chef or something instead of going out to like dinner all the time,
It'd be incredible.
That's also one of the things that I miss a lot often. It's, when we're on the road so much, like sometimes I just want to eat a little shitty meal at my house that I made with some eggs and rice.
Right?
Like that's all I want sometimes, So it kind of goes both ways. But to answer your question, it probably is everything you think it is. Yeah, MLB is awesome.
Yeah, and just the team. I think the team atmosphere. You know, again, the playing individual sports my whole life. Mm-hmm. There's something more exciting, right? Whether it would be college tennis or playing in a team with MLP.
Yeah.
It's super exciting.
Yeah. And what paddle are you playing with nowadays?
Pro XR.
Pro XR?
Yeah.
The little gritty one?
The little gritty one.
Yeah. What do you have in the power on that paddle?
It needs some work.
It needs some work. Yeah.
Compared, I love the paddle, but compared to what's out there now, I feel very disadvantaged
when it comes to power
against certain players.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't even say players, certain paddles.
Yeah, certain paddles for sure.
And there are times where you feel like you're losing to technology versus to a player or skill.
Yeah.
So I'd like to be on even playing field.
Yeah, I think all of us would.
But
that'd be awesome.
That being said, I absolutely love the paddle. If they could make it a little poppier, then it would be even better.
Well, now they joined forces with BattleTech, technically, right? They either got bought out, or they're working together. I don't know. So it's possible that they're making like the grittiness of the Pro XR with like the core of the BattleTech or something. That'd be amazing.
That's exactly what I asked them to do.
Yeah, can they do it?
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I said if you could make the perfect paddle, it would be the BattleTech core with the Pro XR face.
Yeah. That'd be amazing. Have you tried the Christian Alshon paddle? That thing is pretty good.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, but my only problem was like I got to dial in returns a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you really don't have to swing very hard.
Do you play with the 12.7 or the 14.3?
12.7.
Yeah, I think it's poppy. They sent me some. Curtis was super nice. Sent me a couple to Sacramento. Unfortunately, my wrist was hurting, so they didn't do too well. But that paddle plays nicely.
Crazy. Right?
Whoever, I don't know if it was like Curtis. I don't know if it was Christian designing it, whatever it was, but it came out crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A beautiful paddle.
Yeah.
So we'll see what Pro XR does with that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But yeah.
And actually, they changed the puck cap to a tennis puck cap now too, which is awesome.
Did they?
Yeah, the ones that I got from BattleTech was a tennis puck cap.
Interesting.
What do you think about that circular, round, oval like butt cap that a lot of companies were doing? I don't like it.
No,
it
not a
doesn't
fan
make any
either.
sense to me.
No, well, I think and being used to tennis.
Yeah.
Right, a tennis butt cap's a little more, what I'm accustomed to.
Yeah.
So it's not as foreign.
Yeah, for sure. But also like the butt cap of the tennis racket, like at the end is a little bit thicker. So like your pinky is resting on the paddle.
Correct.
Or like the one that's kind of like oval or whatever it is, and it's round. Like it's almost even thinner than the actual grip sometimes.
It is.
does not feel good.
No,
like, I don't get that.
It feels weird.
Yeah.
Right.
No wonder Callan started playing with his hand so high up. That must have been so uncomfortable the entire time.
Yeah. Right.
Have you tried this, by the way, the Hezzacor?
I haven't.
Dude, it's good.
Is it?
Yeah,
I would
good.
love to try one of those.
Yeah, I can give you one.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not gonna change like whether the butt cap is round or not.
Yeah.
But the actual feeling of it, I think it's awesome. So
It goes around the regular grip. Is that how it works?
it goes. So you take the original out. You go back to the wood or whatever
Okay.
the paddle is made out of. You put it on, and then you overgrip it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's like it's pretty squishy when you use it for a couple weeks. Like your hand kind of molds onto the grip, which feels really nice. I don't know how much you change your grip around.
A lot.
So I don't know what that's gonna feel like. I don't change it extremely often, but it doesn't bother me.
Gotcha.
But just like the feeling of it is actually really nice, and it helps me kind of keep a continental grip more than anything else.
Okay.
Because you put it in a way where like your fingers are going on the actual like ridges, whatever this is.
Yeah.
The actual hexagon. So it feels like it's like locked in.
Gotcha.
That to me feels pretty
Yeah, and that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
It looks like it would be super comfortable.
Yeah, it is comfortable. Also, that said, like a lot of the original grips that are made for the paddles are like not very good.
No.
Yeah,
No.
you're gonna put an overgrip on it regardless.
And that was the same with tennis, though, right?
Yeah, sure.
Pretty generic grip was the one that comes out of the shop.
Yeah.
And then you usually put a Turner grip or something over it.
Yeah, for sure. Have you seen the way Gasquet uses or grips his tennis racket?
It's just like the bottom, right?
It's just like the bottom, and it's like huge.
It's
and then
crazy.
he like wraps like the rest like
Unreal.
once or twice. Dude,
It's unreal.
It's the best. That said, we're coming up to the time. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to my sponsor, Stack, Hezzacor, You Drippin' Head. Use the code DJ Young at the end, please, for a nice little discount. And now we're opening up the pod to whatever you want to talk about, or whatever you want to say.
Thanks so much for having me. This has been, a lot of fun being here.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I can keep this pickleball journey going a little bit longer, in some way, shape, or form. And we'll see what the future holds.
If you're watching, please sponsor my guy. We want him on the tour. He beat J-Dub, Pavel, and AJ. Let's go. And thanks so much for coming, bro.
Awesome.
Good to see you.
Thanks, DJ. Appreciate you, man.